to the agents and all of their abilities. So I wasn't sure if XSET were comfortable making that leap, but I'm really excited to see it. The only thing that I can kind of fault them on here is not having the raise, which I think that is a very, very important agent to have on bind, specifically because of places like hookah and because of A main and because of showers, where you can get so much value out of the paint shells. And this is exactly why Kafalar have opted to run that along with the Phoenix, which is quite strange for the European region, but I'm here for it. Show us a little bit of that creativity.
Yeah, I hope to see some really good run-it-backs, whether it's for the aggression or just to get the information. I would definitely like to see it being utilized a little bit later on, but first and foremost, the spike is planted already on A, and Petra just keeping an eye on the house, just wait to see if anybody's going to make a peek on Fu. But having said that though, they are starting to emerge through garage as well. Now, spray begins. Petra does manage to find a headshot. Daddy is going to wait for them to peek on around, misses all of the shots, but finally gets them when they matter the most. And Mimi is going to drop on down as well. Kafalar start with the first pistol round.
Well, very easy control of lamps there. And I mean, lamps control is so important on bind. It's one of the things, it's one of the few things that I will always hop on about. Mid control and split, B plants on Haven, and lamps control on bind. Things that I will always mention because of just how important they are to potentially winning out a round. So, Kafalar Blue, they take early control of lamps. They have early or easy access to any part of the A site. They manage to lock that down completely, and that wins them out the round. Now XSET have made a gamble towards the B site. They're completely stacked up. So they're either playing this for shutting down an aggression very, very early on, or they're playing for the retake. And this is clearly going to be forced into a retake play. They know they're at a slight gun disadvantage, so they want to be able to swing together. But this gives Kafalar so much time to set up their post plants. By the time XSET make it here, they're already in their positions and ready to go.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision here from XSET. Like, just the camera angle of all of them just running down past the spawn area. And now we are going to start Ion with the aggression. The Viper can't even get the shot off. Picked off before it even starts. And that is going to look like a... Oh, well, it's not quite a flawless. Mimi at least managed to get one pick in there. But again, that was... You felt like that was inevitable for Kafalar.
That lamps control. And I think that was also XSET realizing that they weren't going to get too much done on a pistol round against a slightly upgraded buy. They do manage to get one, so that's going to force Sephia onto a ghost, which is not ideal. And we see Withina with a Withina, I'm not sure. She's going to be rocking the Bulldog. But XSET, of course, going to be able to not do too much this time around. Got some buys. Don't have any ultimates though. We'll see if they can get by with their rifles, or if they're gonna need something more.
Well, at the moment they're all pretty much tunneling on through. More smokes and more recon bolts, just to cut themselves on the back foot again, and didn't quite get the purchase. To be fair, they were probably looking for the peak more than anything, but again, not really much information they can feed back to the rest of their team as everybody begins to come on out, and a nice double from Sky finally does get taken on down as the Viper gets on the scoreboard as well, and a 4-2 advantage goes to a 3-2 advantage as Kafalar begin to bring this back. But what a good double spray from Sky in that early stage.
Tried to take early Lamps control, but got shut down. But now Lamps is still being left completely unguarded. The 3v2 here for XSET. But bearing in mind that that Sova is very, very low HP. Now, they do have very good control of the site here. And, of course, they have control of the spike as well. So this is going to be a very difficult ask for Kafalar to be able to pick up that spike. One of them is going to have to swing out. Maybe they swing together.
It's a risk, but sometimes you're going to have to go for it. There's just one left, but it's a 2v1 situation now. Make that a 1v1, and thankfully Jet was in the right place at the right time. Nothing that Cypher could do about that one. Finally, XSET do get a point on the board, but that was very close.
Great swing there from Giuliano right towards the end to make sure you kind of split the attention. You don't play together in that situation. You force the last player standing to kind of have to pick someone or pick an angle. And as soon as they aim at a particular angle, you kind of swing out, and then you're able to take advantage of that. So a very, very solid defense here for XSET, but a lot of them went down. Look at this buy. It's not great. It's not ideal. Usually at this round, you've kind of kept all of your rifles and you're putting on a really solid showing. Now they're really janky, and while Kafalar Blue is janky as well, that puts a lot of pressure on both of these teams here to try and win it out so they can get their economy back on track.
Win it back gives them a little bit of information, and the showstopper is gonna kick on into full gear. Will they get anything with it? They do! They got a shot through the smoke!
But Petra manages to trade that one out with the Guardian, so still numbers advantage for Kafalar. And they have managed to get the spike down, so we know that they've got some fairly good post plants here. They've got control of elbow as well, as Giuliano is all the way over towards the left side, gets flashed out.
Yeah, unfortunate there. It gives Kafalar all of the advantage, and well, Zizo wants nothing to do with that entire exchange. They're all the way over onto A. They're gonna save into the next round, and yeah, that's pretty much gonna be that there. That is gonna be a nice point for Kafalar Blue. That all just went away from XSET right towards the end there.
Oh, and Kafalar, are they hunting? Okay, so it's not full-on hunting, but it's like, well, if we find her, we kill her. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. So yes, she does take one rifle into the next round. And it's not the end of the world with the save penalty, because she knows the rest of her team are on a janky buy. And I mentioned how important that round was for both of these teams to win in terms of economy. So XSET, a completely broken economy, whereas Kafalar are able to full buy up here. Now, Athena is in a little bit of a dangerous situation because she has to buy down all the way to 0 credits in order to keep up with the rest of her team. But if they win out this round, then of course it's worth it, and she's still able to buy up in the next. XSET, however, it's going to be a tough ask, given that this is a basically a full eco round, save for one rifle that they managed to save. They do have 2 ultimates to potentially play with, but I don't know if you invest that into the eco.
Yeah, it's a risk versus reward kind of scenario. As the drone comes out, Zephyr isn't able to get the pick with the Phoenix this time around, but does on the second time of asking, so the Jet and the Sova already down. In fact, it could be a flawless coming on up for Kafalar. It'll be the first of the set. It is going to be the first of the set. And that was pretty straightforward in the end for Kafalar.
A little bit of extra credits there for being able to actually plant the spike, as well as getting a nice cleanup, shutting down the entirety of XSET. And now XSET are able to buy this round, so they have an opportunity to get back into this. Their first rifle round of the game went not as well as it could have, given that they were running into a bonus. They lost quite a few players. I'm wondering if Zizo isn't going to buy. She can afford to, and it's not like she has something like a Blade Storm, you know? She's not a Sky. So it's interesting if she's going to stick with the Classic. Maybe waiting to see if she can get an upgrade later on in the round. Kafalar burned a lot of their ultimates in the last one. Ooh, Petra with the angle clearing Hunter's Fury. They're not going to have that available for a little bit later on. It does slow things down a little bit, but I mean, you know, you just regroup and go again.
Yeah, not much you can do with that. And that, I do believe, is the run it back coming on in as well for Zephyr. Goes for the flash. Again, not really getting much. Oh, well, they're certainly getting some information. Nobody's on the point directly. That is all the information they get for that. Spike is going to go down. Viper just can't quite get the elimination they were going for. Gets a lot of spray damage though, and Mimi does at least manage to take out the Raze in the midst of all of that. But again, it's Kafalar with another successful spike plan.
But bearing in mind, Giuliano is on a little bit of a flank here around the outside. Showers has been cleaned up, so anything from there. Oh, if he wins the 1v1, this is massive. That means they can switch Splinter.
And that.
Oh, well, I mean.
No sooner have you said that, KSET are like, you know what? No, we actually would like to have ourselves a second point. And that is what they will do. So the Viper, the Sky, and the Jet will survive that entire exchange. It is 4 points to 2. And yeah, that all changed the second that poke came through that straight through long there. That was exactly what XSET needed.
This was a really, really ground from XSET, just because they managed to take such good map control very, very early on. That Hunter's Fury, I wasn't too sure about it coming out so early on, but it did slow things down a little bit, gave them a little bit of information. And then, of course, the fantastic lurk from Juliana as well to wrap all the way around. And then Petra gets early showers control as well by pushing out a little bit. Beautiful play. Could not have gone better for them. But now Kafalar have also got 3 more ultimates online. They've got a Hunter's Fury of their own. And if the lockdown comes out from XSET, it's going to be really easy to shut that down.
All just biding their time at this stage, but it is going to be a drop for Zizo. So the Sky is out of the equation for the time being, and obviously neither of these teams are winning a stage, so you won't see anybody being rezzed. If you're dead, you're dead. And that is going to be straight through the toxic puddle. Are they thinking of a portal? They are thinking of a portal. They're all going to A.
Oh, I love it. The Cosmic Divide comes through, which is, of course, is a huge sound dampener. So they won't know that the portal's been taken until it's too late. The rotation is coming around already because they kind of, you know, caught onto it. But swinging onto 2, it's always going to be difficult.
And that is how you do it. That is a 2v1 situation. Petra of the Sova is the only one up. And unfortunately, just not able to flick enough in time. And that is going to be another point for Kafalar, who are looking good in the early stages, it must be said. And again, that all pretty much went Kafalar's way. The second they had that sound barrier up, immediately up to the other side with the portal. And then, yeah, swinging on in at that stage is always going to be an uphill struggle.
Oh, this has been so difficult for these ladies. Now, of course, forced back down onto the eco. No ultimates to use. Kafalar still have 3 ultimates of their own. They still have that Hunter's Fury. I didn't even notice that the lockdown had been committed into that last round. So a very, very expensive round for XSET and just not getting the results that they would have wanted. And now with so much information from Sephia, she's pushed all the way into Lamps, knows that it's completely clean. And yeah, you can see the push already very quickly coming through.
That Cypher's ult going off as well, so a lot of information being traded around. Sephia thinking about making a move towards it. Now they finally do so. Oh my goodness me, that was almost a free kill. They finally do get it in the end, but goodness me, they are at least able to take the Phoenix out themselves. Viper goes down, so too does the Killjoy, and Kafalar again with another point on the board.
And that was an eco round for XSET, but we weren't expecting too much to come out of it. But here's the thing. As we get into this next round, they're able to full buy up. Juliana has now got an operator in her hands. Of course, this is going to be the first time we're going to actually see XSET with the operator. And she's going to need to come up big here. Now, I spoke about how this is a team that's migrated over from Counter-Strike, Operator, AWP. They play fairly similarly. So I think that if Juliana could get some value out of this, I don't know what kind of an opper she is in CS. We'll see how well she does here. As she's going to be getting... Oh, that's a deep angle onto Showers, and that gives away all the information that there is, in fact, an operator over towards the A site. So the spike might start to move away.
Yeah, that intimidation factor always does come into it, but sometimes you let people be a little bit more braver. It always depends on if that first shot can land, but really at this stage, do you want to risk it? I mean, Kafalar have a 4-point lead at the moment, but they'll not want to give anything away in the early as much as they can. It is going to be Sky who drops on down, and they do peek into that operator, and the operator does not miss the first shot.
The Baron gun peeks through the Viper's wall there, and Mimi's able to get a fantastic shot. She even manages to dodge the Hunter's Fury, which is massive. What? What was that shot?
Mimi chose to pop off and just immediately gets down by the Sova. They were not having that at all. Mimi coming in massively there, but it is going to now be a 2v2 situation. Make that a 1v1 situation. The pair of them pretty much trading each other out. And what will happen now is Juliano as the Jet versus the Sova.
Now, realistically, you want to see Juliano play for time here. I mean, you can already see Spike's making its way over towards the A site instead, because Dati knows that she has to contend with that operator. So she should be able to get that spike down. But of course, Juliana's a jet. And this is a very, very quick rotation. She swapped out the gun, no longer on the operator, instead having picked up the Phantom. The last second spike plant goes down, but now it's all down to Juliana. Can she clutch this out?
This is all gonna come down to sound cues and timing. Juliano gets the headshot when it matters most, and XSET are gonna take a point. That is a story of two halves right there and then. Mimi with that wonderful stand over on B, and Jet sealing it up on the other zone.
That was a fantastic play. It was really unfortunate because Datty was trying to check all the angles, right? In that 1v1 situation, it's always going to be so difficult. She's pushing out of lamps. She's trying to check down long, and she's got the wrong angle. And Juliano manages to get that kill. Great work from Juliano. Unfortunately, she does lose the operator because she changed guns to make sure so she could try and clutch out that round. And one of their players is now down to a Spectre because the economy was a little bit wonky at the end of that. But that was a much needed round for XSET. And they have 3 ultimates online here. And is that... Did I hear the knives get popped? No, it was the showstopper.
Yeah, it is the showstopper, but nobody is around to be stopped with it. And immediately runs straight back into the house. They will get a spike down at the very least. So really, it will now be a question of what do XSET do with this. They have 3 ults on the board. I don't know if they'll be using it anytime soon. We are going to see the Fury come out. And we are going to see Sky pop theirs as well, but immediately taken down.
Oh, traded back and forth. Yeah, Mimi's going to try and take lamps on her own. Swings too far.
1 enemy remaining.
It's a 1v1 Viper versus the Astra. And what will happen here? Julius is going to come round. This is going to be dangerous. They go down. They go down. Viper gets a triple. And XSET, I think, might just get away with this. They do get away with this. It's a 6-4 scoreline. How about that for clutch from your resident Viper?
Krasie looking away at the very last second, and it looked like she might get shot in the back, but she turns around just in time, and Julius actually correct. You can actually see it here. So she looks past the Viper, and as she tries to flick back, Krasie is just too fast and gets that headshot. And again, this is such a weird vibe for XSET. Despite winning 2 rounds in a row, they've still got 1 person on a ghost. I mean, this is just so wild to see. They still have 3 ultimates. They have the Viper's Pit. And they're going to pop that immediately here over on the A side. Shut that down. However, they've got no one watching showers. Okay. Zizo turns around. She's ready to check this one out.
Yep, we got, goodness me, we got everything going on out here. I think Phoenix went in as well with the running back. The Lisk attack, but again, that information is already up and immediately down. And guess what? That is going to be another spike going on down. Juliano does have the knives out, so they'll hope to try and score as many of these as possible. And you can just see everything being covered on this side.
Going to be using a lot of... They're going to try and bait out some of the stall utility as much as they possibly can. Now, they've dropped the lockdown of their own to try and buy themselves some time. Knives have come out. Oh, that's an early Hunter's Fury. That would have been better off a little bit later. Oh, it gets a kill!
Yeah, it did. And unfortunately for them, not only did the knives not get anything, Kafalar are able to hold that out in the end. You see this entire exchange go down. All of the knives missed. Juliano hits the deck, and Mimi ended up being the only one left, taken down by Julius, who was not going to miss from that range. Unfortunate from XSET, but Kafalar get themselves on to 7. Could you imagine if we end this as a 7-5 again? That would be ridiculous.
We've actually cursed Huntress Trials at this point. And still, the janky buys just keep on hitting. Everybody has a rifle in this round except for one lone player who's going to be rocking the Sheriff. The economy has been such a mess across the board. But now it's our final round in the half. No ultimates online just yet. I think some players would be fairly close, but nobody has it just yet. So you can actually see XSET trying really hard to take full control of the map as much as they possibly can. Zephyr very far from a run it back, so not going to have that to contend with at the very least, because we saw how powerful that was a little bit earlier on. But now they're backing so far away from A that it's allowing Giuliano to go on a massive, massive flank here, which is going to create, if she continues on her path, this could create a very strong pincer.
It certainly could. We are going to see the drone coming out as well. Stephanie gets the first pick on Petra, but immediately loses it back. Chriso is going to fail up as well, and Mimi gets a very crucial headshot with the Ghost. Don't underestimate someone coming in with pistol. They can and still will take your head off. And with that, it is a 3-2 advantage for Kafalar. Make that a 2v2! Make that a 2v1! XSET popping off when it matters most! It is Sky and Jet versus the Ashiok. They've done it! They've done it for the 4th game in a row! The first half ends 7-5.
Oh, this is absolutely ridiculous. But it's interesting to see how XSET, it feels like they're kind of coming into themselves a little bit more here. You know, when we started it out, they seem to be floundering a little bit. But now it feels like they're kind of leaning into their CS backgrounds a bit more, leaning into their strategic, I guess you could say, advantage or not handicap, because they, like, it's already a good thing, right? So they have that in their back pockets that they can use, and it's helping to propel them a little bit more forward in the series now, finally starting to get a little bit closer. We're only at that 2-point deficit, and I'm enjoying what I'm seeing from these ladies, from both teams, in fact. Kafalar, I feel, might have been the favorites coming into this purely because they had that kind of fourth placement in the girls' house very recently. And XSET, of course, like we said, that dark horse unknown quantity. But both of these teams really holding their own here.
And with the second half now beginning, our second pistol round of the set. And we are going to see Lado just themselves a vantage point. Tried to go for the Ghost, immediately gets flashed out. The tripwire goes out as well. And never mind that, all of the portals get deployed. And that is going to be a spike being planted down on B. And Ladio is just up in our wonderful little balcony, just chilling out for the time being. The rest of the team have now joined them. But crucially, it is the spike down, 3 versus 2, as Jet picks off the Cypher.
Oh, and they're so separated from one another. This is such a good hold from XSET, such a good post plant. It was always going to be difficult to try and make that happen when you've got it's essentially a triangle. I mean, this is something we see in so many games. You set up a triangle, and that's your crossfire, and anyone who walks into it is going to get shot from one direction or another. Beautifully played there from XSET as they get closer and closer to evening out the scoreline. Now, what is really interesting here... Okay, no. I thought they were going to be saving on pistols entirely, but it's only 3 people staying on Ghosts. This is very interesting because usually you see everyone buy up to a Spectre or like a Judge or something, you know? It's very seldom that you'll see after winning the first pistol round, players will stick on a Ghost. And I think this is just in case they lose this one as well.
Oh, they can't take it on through. That is everybody going through that. At least one gets taken out in the midst of it. Also, it's XSET with 4 players up, Kafalar with 3. And now they begin to push onto A as well. Spike carrier is going to go down. Spike immediately retaken by Sky. But they are kind of on their own some over here. They need some assistance. The Spike will go down. So they'll have that to their deficit again. But really, with the Toxic Wall up, how in the world, how are XSET going to play this here? Looks like they're slowly moving on back.
Uh-oh. The information came through there. Now, bearing in mind that is XSET's wall. So they use that to try and escape. Oh, the flash is beautiful! But is it enough to help defend? Yes, it will be! Oh, Lassie tries to get that defused, but the swing is so good from these ladies coming out of showers. A beautiful round here from XSET.
Hey, and guess what?
Go on.
We're not gonna end at 13-6 this time round. Both of our teams are on 7-7, so at least that curse is out the window for the time being. Yeah, all square at 7 apiece between these two teams. So I did say it was going to be close at the start, and yeah, it absolutely is turning into that now.
Oh, this is interesting. So they are going for the bonus round, but 2 of the players that had ghosts are in fact, so they're going to upgrade to rifles. 1 is going to stay on a Ghost. Then we've still got the 2 Spectres. and they're running into, of course, full rifle rounds. That's to be expected. And they lose out the very first gun battle of the round, and that's, of course, Giuliano down for the count. That's your jet, that's your entry, and that's not a good sign for XSET.
That's the last thing they needed the second we start getting towards rifles and more data being given against them. Look at all the things that they're tripping at this stage.
Oh my goodness.
And that is going to be more tags, and it's going to be a double for the Astra finally get taken down, but Cypher is on hand to get the next shot off, and it is just Mimi as the Killjoy up. Again, more location revealed, and they are going to immediately hit the deck. Kafalar get themselves their first point of the second half.
That was such a wild round. Like, XSET trying for this really aggressive play onto the A site and just not able to win out those gun battles, not able to swing off of each other effectively. Kafalar, these ladies, they can aim. I mean, that's kind of a prerequisite coming into a game like Valorant, but like, they're doing exceptionally well. And now I'm seeing the value of the weird way that XSET played their buys, because now here on the third round, or rather the fourth round, we have rifles across the board for both teams. Now, the way that XSET play might be contributing to why they have such weird economy, especially towards the end of like the previous half. You could actually see how weird and janky it was. But we'll see if they can kind of fix that up a little bit in this next round. They are going to have Seekers available, so that should give them a little bit of information to help them breach onto site. And the B site is very heavily defended here, particularly with one rotation coming through to add to the ranks.
This could get filthy. This is going to get filthy. That is one. That is not quite the second, though, because Mimi gets a double of their own. Despite all of that, it always seems to be Mimi who manages to get themselves on that double side of things. Sky does go down. So too does the Viper, spraying through the cage. It is a 1v1 between Mimi, the Killjoy, and our Cypher, who is only just entering the scene now.
Feels like Mimi is always in these situations, you know? Like, always that last person standing, trying to make something happen towards the end of the round, but with such low HP, very easy for like you to just, you know, clean that up a little bit. Now, that was a really, really important round for XSET, because I have been kind of harping on about their economy. And now, I don't know, things could be really messy for those ladies. We'll see how that is once we actually get the buy screen up, but man, these rounds have been so chaotic. It's really been interesting to take in and watch how the abilities have been utilized and how point has been aggressed onto, because it feels like XSET are just kind of picking a site and then going super, super aggressive on that site and not really fanning out as much as they could be, you know?
Yeah, they're not really thinking about rotating out any time, which is something that we see a lot of teams end up doing, where they realize, actually, no, this is just not happening. Just rotate all the way back around. And especially when you have a stage where you can utilize that, especially with the portals and obviously Astra's ult, to try and nullify that sound as well. There's a lot that you can play around with, but it does look like that once again, XSET do seem determined to make A work. They do have somebody lingering over at B, so... But again, Giuliano does have the knives up.
Quite a few ultimates for Kafalar as well. Oh my goodness, Petra just gets deleted as she tries to aggress in onto the site. The dash from Giuliano gives away the positioning. This is not a good round for XSET already.
Oh, and Giuliano missed both of the knives as well. Julius got themselves a triple before finally being taken down by Mimi once again. And it is just the Sky and the Killjoy up. It is a 2v3. Well, make that a 1v3. As Ravina just backs it on up a little bit. Mimi on 4 HP, and a Dream immediately gets dropped by the Rays. And that is going to be double digits for Kafalar.
It's always Mimi. She's always the one trying to make something happen. And this has just been so difficult for XSET. Now, it looks like this was a eco round, so I was correct in what I was saying a little bit earlier on and how their economy had been completely shut down and messed up. But they're able to buy up this time with 2 players on, you know, small shields. But again, this is an important one. This is huge, because if they lose this one, then again, it's that economy mess. Now, they will have quite a bit of that loser bonus to play with, but because they're forcing up like every single round, it's going to be difficult to hold on to this. And we're so close to that match point. And they do have Viper's Pit available. Haven't popped it just yet. They're not going for that early pop like we saw on the first half, because of course this is their attacking half. But Giuliano peeks and gets shut down. Kafala 5 ultimates, but are they even going to need to use them at this point?
I mean, at this stage, with the rate they're going, they might just hold on to it for the next point. A 5-on-3 situation already. And that is slowly starting to turn into Kafalar set. Spraying on through, but Julius can't get the kill this time round. In fact, it is going to be Petra who gets the better of it. Tries to gather more information as well, and the turret just quickly rotates out of there, just goes into showers for the time being. As they all start jumping all the way forward to A. Everybody gathering up, and there's the pit!
Oh, but that's the default spot. Very smart there to not start the plant until the rain of bullets had stopped. So now the spike's down, firing onto the default spot, but no one's there anymore. Now if they push into this, huge decay comes through and it's going to get shut down. The runner back is going to get a little bit of information, but it's not a hell of a lot.
Here's the bare minimum, and in fact can't stay up either. Petra at least manages to take down the Phoenix before being taken down themselves. So, Kafalar with the player advantage. Cypher went all the way in there and actually stops the pit. And Kafalar, well, they've got to wait for the trap to dial on down. But that will be a defuse in the end. And somehow, Kafalar hang on to take another point.
That is impressive, particularly because we know how oppressive the Viper's Pit can be, but they do so well to swing off of each other and move into that Viper's Pit to get those kills. And as soon as, of course, once the Viper goes down, like, it's so important to keep that Viper alive if the pit's going, because if the Viper is alive, the pit stays up. If the Viper dies, then the pit falls. Very, very well played there to try and win out that one. And now again, very, very close to that match point, and XSET forced onto another eco. They've got Hunter's Fury. They could try and possibly clear out some corners. It's very often used here on Bind to try and clear out either elbow on the B site or lamps on the A site. Once you clear that out, then you know, okay, cool, you can push in. But they might hold on to it. See, this is something that I was concerned about with having XSET coming into this and being from Counter-Strike and not being so used to these agents. Of course, they've been playing Valorant, otherwise they wouldn't be competing in a tournament. It's not like they've never played Valorant before, but they've never played it on a competitive level as far as I could tell. And so you can already see how they're doing really well, relying on that Counter-Strike. Just so everybody's aware, there is a pause here. It's probably attack pause, but there is a pause. So they're relying very much on that mechanical gunplay that they have, and it's amazing. Like, they are doing really, really well just based off of that they've carried over from CS, but the ability usage is still an important part, and I feel like they're somewhat lacking in comparison to Kafalar Blue.
Yeah, Kafalar Blue have been pretty consistent. I mean, you look at the scoreboard as it stands. They've done 4 points in a row. They've definitely had the second half a bit more in contention than XSET have. Although, again, as you say, XSET has very much been in the thick of things. They're keeping this, well, for the first half at the very least, keeping this incredibly close and nearly winning a couple of points here and there. But sometimes it's just that placement, the ult placement that Kafalar Blue are just able to have on lockdown just that little bit more than XSET do, as we are going to see the next point finally get on the way. Pause is done and dusted. That is going to be a lot of scouting, a lot of information coming on through. Jules is going to shoot it down quickly. And again, it looks like XSET are dedicated, are committed to coming on in. Jet
No way.
immediately gets pincered out down. That was unfortunate, to say the very least. It's a 3v3 situation after all of that, however. The spike is going to get dropped.
Getting caught with utility out and still managing to survive. Giuliano not able to actually connect there. And like you said, it did get traded out, but in this 3v3... Oh, they saw exactly where that came from. The projectile coming through from around the corner, so they know exactly where the killjoy is.
Again, there's only so much that they can do. They're going to get taken out by the Phoenix. Ziza at least gets themselves on the board as well, so brings it back to a 2v2. Tried to go for the poke, but was not able to get it. This is dangerous here. They both ran straight into the middle, and that is thrifty indeed. Beautifully done by Sky, and that gives XSET another point.
Lamps control. I mean, I'll be honest, I love lamps control, but I don't think that was the biggest factor there. It was so huge for Ziza to have been able to bonus up. I say bonus up, like manage to upgrade to this rifle and some very clean shots to help win that one out, because her partner was not in position to help and swing out. Right, we saw Killjoy go down because they saw where the projectile was coming from, so they immediately knew where she was, and the last player was on like the other side of the map. So, oh, how do you miss that?
What?
No, she must have flinched.
That is unfortunate. We'll probably see a replay of that and how close to that was to a kill, because that could have absolutely have turned this point on its head. The fact that Juliana somehow missed that first shot, that is unfortunate to say the least. We'll see how far off that was, but again, Kafalar Blue able to hold this down for the time being. They know that they're going up against the up, and here comes the Fury.
Not using it to clear elbow, which is interesting. Oh, beautiful prediction from Giuliano. As soon as the flash comes through, you know someone's going to swing on that, and that's going to be shut down. 2 players left alive for Kafalar Blue. Oh, Giuliano does not miss those.
Well, not anymore, and that looks like it could be it. 5 people up for XSET, 1 for Kafalar Blue. It's a flawless at last for XSET, and it puts them right back into contention.
Oh, what a good round. Okay, BM replay incoming. How does that miss?
How did that hit? How did that miss? Surely that would have hit.
It must have been because she was still moving. Like, you can see the trajectory, so the bullet must have gone wide. That is painful to watch, but they do win out the round at the very least, and Giuliano gets the keeper operator, which is pretty big, and they're starting to close the gap. They do have the Seekers available, but they're contending with a wall, and we know how they've been shut down and kind of messed around by that cosmic divide previously, and of course there's the showstopper as well. And if there is some potential here to try and use the cosmic divide in their favor. Like if it goes up and then you use like a teleporter or something, maybe. But it's going to be difficult to try and leverage that in your own favor.
Yeah, there's only so much you could do at that point. With 2 points between the pair of them, this is going to be incredibly close now. And again, Giuliano just kind of sits there with the up, waits to see what comes up. But again, the ults are coming on out thick and fast. We are going to see Sky drop on down against the Sova. The smokes again immediately coming on out. It looks like B is going to be the push. Showstopper came out somewhere along the line, so keep your ears peeled for that. Although having said that, I think Raze actually got taken out in the end. No sooner had they popped it, so yeah, that's not gone according to plan at all. XSET do get the plant, and they have the player advantage.
Oh, but look at this triangle here from Kafalar. Now, this makes it a little bit more difficult because they are needing to attack in. And oh my goodness, Julia, you're ridiculous!
The double in the midst of all of that. The Killjoy ult is pretty much going to detain, so that at least finally stops Phoenix. But Giuliano is not going to win that exchange at all. And Kafalar Blue are going to take that point away. Goodness gracious me.
I cannot believe that we actually saw Julie make those kills. Like, from the back of sight. No one was even watching. How? It's ridiculous. But again, like, great plays here. I mentioned how they had set up such a good triangle, so they had those crossfires available. It's usually harder to implement in a retake scenario, but they managed to make it happen. And now here we are on match point. There's Bladestorm available for XSET. There's a Cosmic Divide for Kafalar. Kafalar, of course, managing to full buy up here. XSET also have guns available, but this is it. They need a hero streak here. 3 rounds in a row. 4 rounds in a... 3 rounds to take us to overtime.
Yep.
Can they do it? Oof.
Oh, gonna find out. Again, more scouting, more information, and Rafana's just gonna sit there for the time being. Giuliano not with the up this time around. Again, a lot of smokes being deployed, and they do have knives ready to use if they want to use it. But again, they're the only one with an ult on the table. Kafalar Blue, to be fair, also with the one as well, but they know they have the 3-point lead. They know that XSET can come to them, and they'll be relatively okay.
The slow, methodical, like, yeah, no one wants to do anything. There's just like sheer terror at this point as XSET realizes this is it. They have to win every single round. Knives get popped. Immediately moving on to site, manages to dodge out the paint shells.
They missed all of them! They missed every single one of those knives! Are you kidding me? And that, well, the spike is going to go down at the very least. But Daddy immediately comes out with the Fury. Surely that'll take somebody down. It does take somebody down. It's the Sky. It just leaves the Viper.
The last person left alive. All these ultimates are coming out. Viper's Pit?
I would assume. Yeah,
That's
Viper's
twice.
Pit is up. Now they have to make this count. They get one. They can't get the second. And that will be that. Kafalar Blue win the first point by 13.